Paula Metzler on Penfield Town Court. My name is Christopher Chichester. I've never committed a crime. Paula Metzler, pay attention. Does a prosecutor talk in court? What's the answer to that question, you bald-headed, wig-wearing psychopath and criminal? This is a list of the salaries for everyone in Monroe County District Attorney's Office, right here. Everyone from Ralph Aloco at $63,360 to Jennifer Zwetch at $28,206. A to Z. I appeared in Penfield Town Court first before this disgusting 70-year-old perversion of justice, John P. Lomenzo Jr., and next before Paula C. Metzler, a disgusting perversion of justice who doesn't know what century she lives in. Both times the prosecutors didn't talk. How is that explained to the United States Department of Justice? I was delivered to jail and the prosecutor doesn't talk both times. What's your answer? You will have to answer. Because I have a relentless determination to remove you and your fellow repulsive hack, James P. Milley Jr., from Penfield Town Court. I'm confident that it can be achieved after I contact the employees at the United States Department of Justice, the employees at the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo, and when I begin to contact the media, such as the employees at the Democrat Chronicle. Prosecutor didn't talk, and you show no interest whatsoever in why I'm there. Why is that? There's no interest from you as far as the facts and circumstances of me being in there. How is that explained? How do you explain yourself, you disgusting bald-headed wig-wearing fucking hack? You see this shirt here? This is University of Rochester Medical Center. I got this when I ran a 5K. I'm wearing this because I had to obtain care and treatment from the University of Rochester Medical Center because of you. You know exactly what happened to me on August 30th because I've explained it in previous YouTubes. And if you're not watching me, you're blocking me, that's because you want to wallow in ignorance as you're destroying lives. I leave my residence. I walk down Penfield Road to go to Canandaigua National Bank. I withdrew $40 because I had $21.39 in my pocket. And that brought it up to the amount that's on this check that says County Von Roll, Office of the Sheriff. $61.39. I'm going to say that again. I had $21.39 when I walked down to Canandaigua National Bank. I withdrew $40. And I had $61.39 in my pocket. That's the amount of money, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting, nauseating, sickening hack I had in my pocket when I was before you. That check. So, I walk down Penfield Road, I make a right on Sanders Farm Drive. I make a left on Willow Way. I'm walking to the front of Wegmans. I get to the pharmacy entrance. 5 Monroe County Sheriff officers' vehicles converged upon me. You know that this happened to me because you know that they were going to converge on me because you were told to be in Penfield Town Court. When these 5 vehicles from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, a bald-headed fascist stooge, Todd Baxter, converged upon me. One of them exited, lowered his shoulder, knocked me down, and my head slammed against the concrete pavement near the pharmacy entrance of Wegmans. And my head slammed against the concrete pavement, the pharmacy entrance of Wegmans, because of you hate-consumed, bald-headed, wig-wearing hack, Paula Metzler in Penfield Town Court. Because you were told to be in Penfield Town Court by one of the employees of Sheriff Todd Baxter's Monroe County Sheriff's Office, or in fact, possibly Sheriff Todd Baxter himself. I had to go. It's the after-visit summary. Your imaging was normal. I'm in the MRI tube and I can still feel the pain in my head. Because when your head slams against the concrete pavement, there's going to be pain. And I've always liked to believe, since I was on the cross-country team in the 9th grade, that I have a high tolerance for pain. And every runner thinks that. Because you have to accept that pain. And there I am in the MRI tube. And I could feel this pain in the back of my head. And it was at a point where it was almost unbearable when I'm in that MRI tube. Because when your head slams against a concrete pavement anywhere, it's going to be a consuming pain. And this is because of you. And there you are waiting for me in Penfield Town Court after I was violently attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. Your imaging was normal. There's my physician's name right there. How do you explain that there you are waiting for me. And then they take me in there. And you don't ask me one question as to why I'm in Penfield Town Court on August 30th. So one, how do you explain that you don't ask me any questions? How do you explain you were called and told to be in Penfield Town Court? And this is what I believe is going to be the indictment that delivers you back to your miserable, disgusting private life. What am I doing in Livingston County? What am I doing in Livingston County Jail? Did you speak to someone at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office or the Monroe County District Attorney's Office or both to deliver me to Livingston County Jail? I'm going to be in contact with the District Attorney and Sheriff of Livingston County. I'm going to ask about any reciprocal agreements. I'm going to ask if there's any cooperation with Monroe County because I've lived in Penfield for 9 years. Why do you, Paula Metzler and James P. Mully Jr., think I moved to Penfield? Because I lived in Webster with my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. Do you know why? Because Laura's hired at the Penfield Public Library. And when I would go see Laura, I'd open the door, and I don't know, at the end of that long hallway to the left is your disgusting, vile, nauseating, criminal existence, Paula C. Metzler and James P. Mully Jr. I do not know Penfield Town Court is inside the library that my ex-girlfriend Laura Riley works at. And Laura was so happy to get that job. We did a mock interview where I pretend to interview her and I'd go over see her and I'd think about her just like boyfriends think about their girlfriends. Doesn't even occur to me, even though there was a sign outside the library that announces Penfield Town Court is in there, because I have no reason to be in Penfield Town Court. In the 30 years since I was honorably discharged as a 22-year-old Sergeant E5 from 2nd Squadron, 17th Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I have one speeding ticket. I have never committed a crime, and that's completely irrelevant to you. So, Paula Metzler, when I'm in Penfield Town Court, what are you doing asking me a question, the answer to which is only known by my mother, my father, and my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley? Who gave you my health care records, Paula C. Metzler? What's the name of the employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that gave you my health care records? You broke federal law, Paula Metzler. Breach notification rule. Health insurance, privacy, and Accountability Act. I'm going to read this for you. Breach notification rule. The HIPAA breach notification rule 45 CFR 164400-414 requires HIPAA-covered entities and their business associates to provide notification following a breach of unsecured protected health information. Similar breach notification provisions implemented and enforced by the Federal Trade Commission apply to vendors of personal health records and their third-party service providers, pursuant to Section 13407 of the HITECH Act. Definition of breach. A breach is generally an impermissible use of disclosure under the privacy rule that compromises security or privacy of the protected health information. An impermissible use of disclosure of protected health information is presumed to be a breach unless the covered entity or business associate, as applicable, demonstrate that there is a low probability that the protected health information has been compromised based on a risk assessment of at least the following factors. 1, the nature and extent of the protected health information involved, including types of identifiers and the likelihood of re-identification. 2, the unauthorized person who used the protected health information or to whom the disclosure was made. 3, whether protected health information was actually acquired or viewed. And 4, the extent to which the risk to the protected health information has been mitigated. The unauthorized person who used the protected health information. You, Paula C. Metzler, are the unauthorized person who used the protected health information. That's you. There you are in Penfield Town Court looking at my health records. Now, I'm going to try to think like you about how you want to get out of this disgusting descent on my life. You could say you just had a piece of paper in your hand. It's not really my record, and you were told this information. So, it's still my information. Why are you asking me about it? I'm telling you, and I'm accusing you of having my health care records, the records as they exist in front of you. If you claim that you didn't have any record in front of you, and you're just reading from language that you wrote or somebody delivered to you, someone else's handwriting, You still have access to my healthcare information, my healthcare records. You still know something that only my mother, my father, and my ex-girlfriend know. Understand what I'm accusing you of, Paula Metzler. I'm accusing you of committing a crime. So, what are you doing with information that my mother, my father, and my ex-girlfriend Laura only know? When I use language to describe you as a disgusting, repulsive, sick hack, this is it. And a disgusting, repulsive, sick hack sits in her library courtroom on August 30th and waits for an innocent man to be deposited in front of him after he's violently attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. Were you told that I was attacked? Why didn't you ask me any questions about why I'm in front of you? You just dare to pronounce me guilty. Guilty, 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 guilty. That's the way you want it. That's the way James McNally Jr. wants it. And that's the way your sickening child rapist protection racket, Dan Blouse III, that calls himself John P. Lomenzo Jr. wants it. When I'm in front of Junior Lomenzo, the first time I was in, now one question. I'm charged with harassment, and second, when my head is snapped back violently at the gym by this thug, Jermaine Benman. I'm charged with a crime when I just walked outside my residence one day to tell a guy on his tractor that nobody owns the land next to my residence. How is that explained, Paula Metzler? Have you seen this photograph I've showed repeatedly? This is criminal contempt for the criminal sheriff of Monroe County, Todd Baxter, and Shannon Myers, $67,000 employee. So my head's snapped back at the gym by Jermaine Benman. And Jermaine Benman appears in front of you, Junior, because there's a deal with Jessica Wagner. Let him walk out the door and I go to jail. How many Americans in this country have been charged with harassment seconds sitting in the backseat of the vehicle? How's this a crime? That's why I'm never going to Penfield Town Court. And fuck you, Paul C. Metzler. And fuck you, James P. McNally Jr. I walk outside one day. Here comes a guy who's tractor from Broad College Tree and Lawn Care. I stand around here, see nobody owns that land, and walk back in my residence. How's that a crime? That's not a crime, you bald-head, wig-wearing criminal, Paul Metzler. That's not a crime, Junior Mully. That is not a crime for which I was in jail. I will never go into Penfield Town Court and pay attention. I'll have to be violently attacked and deposited in front of you, Paula Metzler and James McNally Jr. And if I am, I will be screaming at you in the most ferocious way possible. You will not be able to talk, Paul C. Metzler, if I'm in front of you. There's not one word, not one sound, not one syllable. I'll scream at you relentlessly to prevent you from talking. And what you're going to do is just declare me guilty, because there's no dialogue whatsoever as to why a defendant is in Penfield Town Court. And that's why you're refusing to comply with the simple document that I'm going to update and send to you that you received on December 16th. I'll repeat what I said previously. Donald Trump was president of the United States on December 16th. Joseph R. Biden is now president of the United States. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., James P. McNally Jr., and Paula Metzler. And since December 16th and today, you're destroying lives in Penfield Town Court, and you enjoy destroying lives. That's what you enjoy doing. Paula Metzler, what's the name of the human being that gave you my healthcare records or information about my healthcare history that you wrote down on a piece of paper right in front of you? How is that explained? Privacy protection. My privacy is not protected in any manner, shape, or form when you have my privacy right in front of you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal. You will have to answer these questions when I contact the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo, the employees that work on the second floor of the Capitol, and that's where I once worked, and the Federal Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C., and the State Department of Health in Albany. I'm going to tell you who I'm going to contact. The Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo, because he has a staffer that deals with healthcare issues and privacy invasion. There's no doubt about that. I will contact the New York State Department of Health in Albany. I will contact the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. I'll tell the employees in every office that you illegally accessed my healthcare records and information, broke federal law. What do you think about what I just told you, Paul Metzler? Do you know what I'm doing to you? Have you figured it out? Do you know what I'm doing to you, James McNally Jr.? Have you figured it out? You should know. This is registered mail return receipt. I'm going to put my name on the back here and my address. Then Paul Metzler, it's going to say article addressed to you. I'm going to have this addressed to you, Paul C. Metzler. And I'm going to have one addressed to you, James McNally Jr. Right here. It's going to have your name. And then you're going to sign for it right here. It says service type, adult signature. You're going to sign received by. See, it says received by. You're going to sign there, Paula C. Metzler. You're going to sign there, James C. Miller Jr. And then this is going to come back to me. And this is going to be a verification that you signed for it. And the language I wrote, which is going to be this language, it's going to be included. Because you receive between 500,000 pages. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to send. But what I'm telling you now will be included in what you signed for here. And this will come back to me. And then I'll contact the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo, Majority Leader and Speaker in Albany, and the United States Senate Committee on the Judiciary, the United States House of Representatives Committee on the Judiciary, Department of Health in Albany, and Federal Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. That's what I'm going to do. I will never come into Penfield Town Court. You understand me, Paula Metzler and James Milley Jr.? The United States of America is a country that is alien to you. A corrupt, disgusting, hack town judge doesn't summon an innocent man into a library courtroom to declare that innocent man guilty. That's not the way the United States of America works. I have due process. I have civil and constitutional rights. And I am astounded that a hate-consumed, vile, sickening hack like you is in Penfield Town Court and you love destroying lives. There's not a single person that's acquitted in Penfield Town Court. You will have to explain this to the United States Department of Justice. Paul C. Metzler and James P. Milley Jr. So one reason why they're doing this to me is I read the salaries. It's a list of salaries, and I continue to read the salaries. So I want to emphasize this Freedom of Information Law. This is attached. I'm going to update this and send this to you. But let's emphasize this again. Given your ages and enfeeblement, you don't even know what's going on up there, Paul Metz. You're in total confusion. The documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester with John P. Lenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doyle? That's a prosecutor that doesn't talk. Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester with Paula Metzler in Penfield Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doyle? That's a prosecutor that doesn't talk. How do you explain to employees at the United States Department of Justice, the Office of Andrew Cuomo, the Majority Leader Speaker, the Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, the Chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, that I was delivered to jail twice without a prosecutor talking? And Sandra Doyle, the sick, corrupt hack district attorney of Monroe County, refuses to tell me the name. The second time, this 5'2", 3-piece suit boy walks up to you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, gives you a piece of paper. I don't know what's on it. You look at it. He walks back to his podium. The handcuffs go on, and I'm delivered to Livingston County Jail. What was on that piece of paper, Paula Metzler? I'm going to write a FOIL for that piece of paper. You better have it. This is a public proceeding where my rights were abridged by hatred and fanaticism and corruption. You looked at that piece of paper. This is an open court proceeding. And in open court, you were given a piece of paper by this 5'2", 3-piece suit boy, and you looked at it, and that delivers me to jail. Now, one word from him. What's his name? How am I delivered to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk? How does that happen in the United States of America? How am I delivered to Livingston County Jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk? I will contact the district attorney in Livingston County. I'll send the district attorney in Livingston County transcript to this YouTube. I'll contact the sheriff from Livingston County. I'll send the sheriff from Livingston County transcript to this YouTube. I'm going to ask them, what the hell am I doing in Livingston County? And then, you know this, what you did to me, Paula Metzler. Regina Harper, my public defender, had to come to see me. And she tells me the judge is holding you. You know why. And I'm not going to say it. How is it constitutional, you disgusting, corrupt hack, for you to be holding me in jail? And every day I have to go up to the kiosk and I have to demand using the kiosk, how long am I going to be here? 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 How long am I going to be here, Paula Metzler? And I'm not told. I'm not told because the judge is holding you and the judge is you. Sign form. Your registered mail return receipt from me. So I'm going to use this little green piece of paper from the United States Postal Service. And this little white and green piece of paper from the United States Postal Service, and my relentless determination to remove you, Paul C. Metzler, and you, James P. Milley Jr., from Penfield Town Court.